Hello everybody, Michael here for Tactica Imperialis with a Warhammer Fantasy Battles Tactics video. Today is the last of the 8 laws of magic, and that is the Law of Death. I am at the end of my mini-series in the laws of magic for now, so I'm going to ask you guys right now, if you would, to head down to the comment section and let me know what you would like to see me do in part of my analysis of Warhammer Fantasy Battles Tactics in the future. Or if I don't do it, Kieran may possibly do it because we are both Warhammer Fantasy Battles players. If you don't want to leave a comment, then I'm happy to talk to you on Twitter at Tactica Imperial. There will be a link in the description. Now, the Law of Death is a formidable battery of short-range spells specialising in zapping enemy characters. Death magic is more destructive than even fire magic, which is the law I did at the start, which is described as magical artillery. So this is even more powerful than that, but the wizard has to be pretty close, perhaps even dangerously close, to use this law to full effect, meaning that it's very killy, but it's very short range, so it puts your wizard at risk to use this law. Therefore, I think very weak wizards, such as, I don't know, possibly goblin shamans, might not be as well off taking this. Something like a chaos sorcerer who can take armour and good invulnerable ward saves might be a better bet for this law because he needs to be able to survive. Now, the law attribute is called life leeching, and this is a nice law attribute. When a Law of Death spell is resolved, roll a d6 for each unsaved wound caused by the spell. Models removed by the Purple Son of Zerus each add a number of dice equal to their wounds characteristic. For each 5 up rolled, add a dice to the army power pool. Ow. So this basically means whenever you cast a spell, and it's not dispelled, you just cast it, and for every unsaved wound that spell causes, you have a 1/3 chance of getting a power dice back. Which, if you're using some low power dice, high hits spells, means that you might actually get more power dice than you started with. And of course, there is a spell called the Purple Son of Zerus, which I'm going to come on to at the end, which can cause a massive amount of wounds. So I do think this has got a lot of legway in terms of doing damage and getting you lots of power dice. With this in mind, I recommend you cast your Law of Death spells first, because this way you can generate power dice for later wizards, and if your concentration breaks after you've brought some dice back, so be it. Whereas if you cast with your other wizards first and then use the Law of Death to get some power dice back, you'll run out of spells to cast, which is unfortunate, but hey ho, this thing sort of happens. So this is obviously a very nice law attribute. The signature spell is called Spirit Leech. It's a 7+ cast, and it's a direct damage, range 12, targeting a single enemy model, not unit, model, which includes a character in a unit. It does not state that you can get Lookout Sir, but I expect you do. I expect you can Lookout Sir this. Both caster and target roll a d6 and add their unmodified leadership. For every point the caster wins by, the target suffers a wound with no armor save allowed. That doesn't mean they won't get ward, regen, or whatever, but they will get no armor save. You can choose to extend their range to 24 if you do casting value 10+. So this is a very nice spell. It will do better on high leadership wizards, such as, again, chaos sorcerers, whereas goblin wizards are low leadership and perhaps not the best bet. And obviously, the best people to target, while you might think it would be characters because you can just snipe them, it would be better actually targeting low things because you get more likely to win. Although against characters, if you've got a lower leadership, you can target them pretty well. And target multi-wound stuff, because the more wounds you cause, the more power dice you could possibly get back. Spell 1, Aspect of the Dread Knight, 4+ cast, augment spell 24 inch. Target unit causes fear until the start of the caster's next magic phase. Really? It just makes the unit that's fighting them in melee take a leadership test or become weapon skill 1, which is very limited in scope, although it is a 4+ cast. However, if you boost it, you can choose to make the target even more horrifying and cause terror rather than fear. If you do so, the casting value is 9+, and this is where the spell becomes useful, because this is when you're charging for the unit that causes terror. That unit now that's fighting them has, or would be fighting, has to take a leadership test to prevent actually just plain up running away. And even if they hold, they'll still be causing fear, which is very useful. So if you're going to use it, boost it. Otherwise, I'd probably swap it for Spirit Leech. Spell 2, Caress of Lenif. This is a 6+ cast with direct damage, 12-inch range, targets a single enemy model, even a character in the unit. So it's exactly the same targeting mechanism as Spirit Leech. If successfully cast, the target suffers a number of hits equal to 2d6 minus strength. So on average, for your average person with an average 2d6 roll, that's about 4 hits. And hits from the Caress of Linif cause a wound on a 4+ with no armor saves allowed. So your Strength 3 character takes 4 hits, because the average 2d6 roll is 7, and that will cause probably 2 wounds with no armor saves allowed. That's very powerful. The wizard can choose to extend the range to 24 inch. If you do, casting value 12+. That's nice. That's a nice spell. And for a 6+ cast, really nothing to complain about there. Although, of course, again, you have the range issue. Spell 3, Soul Blight. 9+ cast. It's a hex spell, range 24. Target has -1 strength and toughness until the start of the caster's next magic phase. Which is good. It's a better and a worse version of the Withering and the Enfeebling Foe from the Law of Shadow that I covered in my previous video. And in the sense that it will affect strength and toughness, but it only reduces them by 1. And it's a 9+ cast, which is actually better than both of them. You can choose to have this target all enemy units within 24 inches, making this incredibly powerful. And if you do, though, the casting value, goes up to 18+, making this quite difficult for anything short of a level 3 or 4 to go for. It's good on its own. If you can boost it, all the better. Spell 4, Doom and Darkness. Remains in play, casting value 10+. Hex spell, range 24. The target suffers a -3 leadership penalty. The wizard can choose to extend the range to 48. Sorry guys, phone's ringing, be right back. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Did not intend for that to happen, but, you know. Okay, I was talking about Doom and Darkness, which is a remains in play, -3 leadership. And that's very powerful because obviously it can really negate some of the penalties, some of the problems such as steadfast on horde units, or if you're planning to win a combat and edge them out, it's an extra -3 to the break test, which is good. And it remains in play, which is always handy. I don't see that much application for it because it's an easy enough one to dispel afterwards, and really you only expect this to last a turn 2 at most. And leadership, within the Law of Death at least, is only effective with aspects of the Dread Knights, because Spirit Leech, it says, uses unmodified leadership. It says that specifically. So it's got some application, but it's not my favourite. Spell 5, the Fated Bajuna. I like this one. It's a direct damage, range 12, targets a single enemy model, even a character in the unit, same as Spirit Leech and Caress of Linif. However, this time, the target covers a number of hits equal to 2d6 minus toughness. So, again, a stereotypical Empire hero, -3 from 7 is 4 hits. The difference, hits from the Fated Bajuna cause a wound on a 2+ with no armor saves allowed. So you go from half of them wounding to 1 in 6, not for 5 in 6 wounding, and that's a lot better, meaning you'll cause a fair bit more damage than you would in normal circumstances. And of course, no armor saves. If the target survives somehow, they are subject to stupidity for the rest of the game, meaning they must take a leadership test if they want to do anything. This could be combined quite nicely with Doom and Darkness. I didn't actually read ahead, so that could be quite useful. Spell 6, one of the most powerful and yet risky spells in the book. This one is the offensive version of Occam's Mind Razor, I like to say, because Occam's Mind Razor is the augment of death. This is the damage spell of death. It's a 15+ cast, remains in play. It's a magical vortex that uses the small round template. So you place the small round template on a point on the tabletop, and you nominate a direction in which the purple sun will move, and what you do is you roll the artillery dice and triple the result. So it will be either 6, 12, 18, 24, or 30 inches is how far the purple sun will move, meaning that it could severely whack through a battle line. And I think this is correct. Magical vortexes cannot end their move on top of a unit, so it might have to go all the way over the unit in order to actually find a resting place, which could be actually quite nice. However, if a result on the artillery dice is a misfire, center the template on the caster, roll a scatter dice and a d6, and it just scatters d6 inches and is then left there. If you roll a hit, use the little arrow shown on the hit symbol. That's pretty nasty. So there is a risk. I think it's 1 in 3 of the results on the artillery dice is a misfire, which is risky, I have to say. But, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 misfire. 1 out of 6. So there's a 1 in 6 chance it could go horribly wrong. And the reason it's so terrifying is because any model touched by the template, as in passed over or it finishes on, must pass an initiative test or be slain dead. No saves of any kind. That's absolutely horrifying, particularly for low initiative armies such as undead, dwarves, and such, because suddenly they're going to lose 2/3 of their squad, which is absolutely awful. And even on regular troops who are initiative 3, possibly initiative 4, you're losing half of your squad or 1/3 of your squad, which is absolutely brilliant for you. And remember, every unsaved wound is an extra chance to gain a power dice. So if you kill a 3-wound ogre outright, you're getting 3 attempts to get a power dice back, meaning that on this first go with the Purple Sun, you should cause utter mayhem, which is awesome. In either event, whether you roll a misfire or you just leave it to work properly, the Purple Sun will then move in a random direction and equal to a number of inches equal to the roll of an artillery dice. So you just roll an artillery and a scatter dice, and that's where the Purple Sun will move. If a misfire is rolled on anything other than the first turn, so like you go to roll the scatter and the misfire, and you get the scatter and the artillery dice, and you get a misfire, the Purple Sun collapses on itself, and the template is removed. So it could actually only last for 1 turn, but it should do an insane amount of damage if you place it right and you aim it right. And it's a 15+ cast, so it's actually quite doable for level 2, maybe level 3 definitely. And obviously, as remains in play, this does mean it will be dispelled later. However, if you want to make your opponent waste their magic phase dispelling it, you can boost it. And if you do so, you use the Large Blast template. Large Blast template. That will wipe out entire armies if you aim it and get a lucky 10. If you do, though, the casting value is 25+. Now, I don't think there is, in this book at least, another 25+ power. No, I don't think there is. No, I cannot see it. Yeah, 25+ is the highest casting value in the 8 Laws of Magic. And rightly so. This spell is terrifying if you boost it. Absolutely terrifying. As this is my only advice I can give to people who face a Death Wizard who rolls up the Purple Sun. Throw all your Dispel dice at it. If he goes to boost and he gets it off, throw all your Dispel dice. You need to dispel this. I don't think... there might be a spell coming later. You may not have an army left after this boost, because it's absolutely terrifying. If you have a Dispel Scroll, use it. If you have something like Teclis' Spell Destroying item, use it. Because this spell is terrifying. Believe me, I've used it once. I got it off once against... I'm trying to remember now. I think it was against the Warriors of Chaos. No. An Ogre Kingdom's army, and it decimated that army. I had ogres dropping dead all over the place. I had so many power dice, and I just obliterated my opponent. Because that's the secondary risk. If you let this spell go through, the amount of wounds it can cause will give extra power dice back. You have to stop this spell, because otherwise your opponent's got basically 2 magic phases. Okay, enough doomsaying. But seriously, this spell is dangerous. So, the Law of Death in review. The Law attribute is nasty, particularly with damage spells such as Fate of Bajuna and Purple Sun. The signature spell is nice, but I don't know how good it is because it's so short-ranged. Aspect of the Dread Knight. If you're going to use it, boost it. Otherwise, don't even bother, in my opinion, unless you're working against a very low leadership army. Caress of the Nif. Nice low casting value and will do some damage. Soul Blight. Reasonable. Pretty useful if you're going to go into melee with them. Doom and Darkness. Best combined with Aspect of the Dread Knight and or Fate of Bajuna. Otherwise, I don't see that much use for it. I'm sorry. I know there will be ways of using it, but I'm not so sure. It will work better with other laws of magic in concert, I think. Fate of Bajuna, very nasty, lots of damage. And if the target somehow survives like a monster, they are still subject to stupidity, which is good. Purple Sun, I think I've said all I need to say. Absolutely terrifying, particularly when boosted, it can cause utter mayhem. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of this video and the end of the mini-series within a series about the laws of magic. So, I've covered the 8 laws. If you want to go and check them all out, I will put a link to the playlist down there in the description. So feel free to go and check it out. Because, well, it might be worth your while. You might find something in there that you wouldn't have thought of before. In terms of future Warhammer Fantasy battles, I leave it to you. I leave it to you guys to go in the comment section and decide for me. Because I'm happy to cover whatever you guys want me to cover. If you don't really have any suggestions, then of course I will try and do something. But I do want you guys to drive this series, if you would, please. So thank you for watching, if you're still here. Like the video if you enjoyed it. I hope you did. And leave any comments down below, as I've already kind of asked you to do. My Twitter will be down below if you want to go and follow me on there, and the playlist for other fantasy battles will be in the description as well. And of course, if we haven't already, you can look forward to some very great painting content from our new partner, Kieran, whose channel name would have been The Simple Servitor, but he will probably just be Kieran on this channel. So, thank you for watching. My name is Michael, and I will see you all again.